Now, on to the start of the show. Well, first of all, I'm Innes Smith. I'm the president of the SSPR. But this is not an SSPR event. This is an esteemed Strange Phenomenon Investigations event. And this is a very special year because this is actually the 40th anniversary of SPI. And it was founded in 1979 by Malcolm Robinson, and it was basically on the back of that most fascinating of Scottish UFO cases, the Detchment Law case, Bob Taylor case. Now, Malcolm was pretty much first on the ground to investigate that fascinating case. His most recent book is on that topic. But this society was launched basically in the back of that case. So those weird, spiky World War II minds that came from another dimension, they also spawned, apart from a period of missing time and ripped trousers, this organisation and this conference. And this is the 5th SPI conference. So, thank you very much for coming. It's not over. It's just beginning. Welcome. And now it's my honour and pleasure to introduce to you our first speaker. Now, for any of us that volunteers for a position of responsibility, whether it's in a bowling club, a golf club, or anything, you're bound to get a few pelters, no matter what you do. And politicians get an awful lot of bad stick, but sometimes good people really do just step up to the plate because they are responsible citizens. They don't choose necessarily to be politicians, but they feel it's their public duty just to get things done. And in a really weird way, a local politician, a councillor in the centre of Scotland, had a really odd issue in his community that felt really needed to be addressed. Not only because he wanted answers, but his community really was crying out for answers. In 1992, there started a UFO flap in Bonnybridge. And the local councillor responded to this local cry for answers. And guess what? He's still at it. He's still asking those important questions. And it's in this context as well that we welcome our first speaker in this really weird year in which a lot of the mainstream media seems to be pumping out more and more UFO stories. It's almost as if they're taking it seriously. Maybe the general public is catching the mood for asking those difficult questions and trying to fill that sincere need for answers. So here to tell you all about his quest for answers, please welcome to the stage Councillor Billy Buchanan.
Good morning, everybody. And can I extend, on my own behalf, a very warm welcome to this annual event. Now, Innes said quite clearly that the Bonnybridge phenomenon started in 1992, and this is the real first time that I've ever had an engagement where I'm going to give you the facts, and it's no fiction about what happened and what happened to myself and what's been ongoing. Now, some of you may get a wee bit bored and you can always go to the cafe and come back, because the fact of the matter is that I've been deemed a controversial councillor for a number of years, and I think it's because I happen to stand up and speak and tell the truth. I wouldn't classify myself as a politician. I would just classify myself as somebody out there that tries to make the community a bit better and help people. So I'm going to talk about the initial start of the phenomenon in Bonnybridge, and we'll maybe take some questions at the end if there's anybody left. I was actually going to sing, I do a bit of singing as well. I go into care homes and hospitals and I do an awful lot of singing, but I'm under contract at the minute, and Malcolm had said, you're going to sing that song, because I brought out 2 songs in relation to the UFO phenomenon, but I'm under contract at the minute with Simon Cowell, so I've had it. So you maybe find it in the talk, because I hardly get any slides or that. I just talk for what's up here. I'm used to talking because I do a lot of talks in Scottish history, and also I work with the government in terms of the past few years. I've been working with the World War I commemorations panel, organising a lot of events for the 1914-18 war. We started again just last week in relation to the 75th anniversary of D-Day. So my mind is completely full. My wife says that all the time, full of nonsense, but the fact of the matter is, just to show that I diversify. We're going to talk about the initial stages about Bonnybridge and how Malcolm Robinson became the saviour for the people. By the way, can you hear me distinctly out there? Yes? It's with me having this sort of Peruvian accent, you know. The fact of the matter is 1992, I'll never forget the evening when I used to live in the canal. Have any of you been to Bonnybridge for your holidays? Yeah, I see all the hands going up there, yeah. Well, if you haven't been to Bonnybridge for your holidays, it's time you went. We're on the Forth and Clyde Canal, it's beautiful, you can get a nice log cabin there, you get all the midges you want, it's brilliant. Anyway, 1992, it was a Friday night, I'll never forget it. As I say, I've no notes here. Everything's there because everything that I'm going to say to you just now is factual. And I always say this, and I'm being serious about this. If there's any MI6 or any MI5 or whatever MI's in here, I say, well, I hope you're going to enjoy yourself. Because when you come to events like this, you don't know who's sitting next to you. Okay, perfect. So what happened is on a Friday night, 1992, I had a chap at the door. I lived in the canal, I lived in the lockkeeper's house. And this chap, George Wilson, a friend of mine since school days, the chap at the door says, come in, George, and you come. So anyway, George came in and sat down, and I could see that he was a bit fidgety. So sit down, he wanted a cup of tea, and I said, have a cup of tea, and that. Then he started telling me that he's a carpenter, George, and he was working in a place called Slamanan. Slamanan is sort of up in the high plateau of Falkirk. And when he was coming back down, it's all back roads. And he said, when he was coming down, he said there was this huge light in the middle of the road, and he stopped the car and he was sort of transfixed. And he was there for a few minutes just looking at it, and then suddenly it went shoo, and it was away. So anyway, I'm saying to myself, all right, fine. So when somebody's telling you something like that out the ordinary, your consciousness isn't really taking it in. But what happened was I met him again on the Sunday, and he started going over it again. And he said that he felt really concerned about the situation, and in fact he was a bit frightened. So at that time in Falkirk, we had a small newspaper called the Grangemouth Advertiser. So I was in the Advertiser quite a bit for some of the projects that I do. So I contacted the Advertiser and I spoke to one of the reporters, and I said, look, I said, a strange occurrence. What's that? He said, oh, come out and see. So the journalist came out to the house and started telling her. Obviously, I didn't give them George's name, because what you've got to remember is that a lot of people, I'm talking about thousands of people, have had some sort of maybe close encounter, if you want to call it that. I saw something, but they'll come to you and say, look, I'm going to tell you this, but I don't want my name. And you can understand that there's a lot of people, and I'm going to go into that, how even people from Bonnybridge have actually left the village because of the pressure that we were put under by the media. So anyway, George had reiterated his story again. The advertiser came out, and I says, well look, it would be very interesting if you could put a wee article in, and we could actually find out if anybody else seen something similar in that area. So the advertiser came out the next week, and it's a free paper, so everybody gets it. And then the next thing was, it was a deluge of phone calls to my office and a deluge of phone calls to my house, because it was though it was like a pot had been boiling and the lid's off, and it was and all these people wanted to know and wanted to speak to you about the sightings that they had. Now, to be honest with you, I was more interested in, I was still playing football at that time, and I was interested in as I say, history and doing these things in the care homes and things like that. So, to be honest, it didn't really affect me that much, but once the first week had come in, and by that time we had hundreds of people, I found it difficult to cope. And there were people coming to my door, because I live right on the canal, it's next to the main road. People are coming in and saying, look, I saw that bit in the paper, I've got this and I've got that. So I started taking notes. It then began to dawn on me that this wasn't something that George Wilson had seen in 1992. So I was on the local radio, Central FM, and they had obviously seen it. Then some of the papers began to pick it up, and by that time I was getting a wee bit conscious that I couldn't really cope with this, because I didn't really know anything about it. And can I tell you now, I still don't really know that much about it, because I'm not a studier, I'm not a ufologist as some of the people are with us today. So what happened was, I was very fortunate that Malcolm Robinson had heard me on the wireless, and Malcolm Robinson had made contact with me, and all I can say is thank goodness, because the fact is that Malcolm came over, we sat down and we started speaking about the situation. Malcolm at that time was with SPI, Strange Paranormal Investigations. I'd never heard of them in my life. SPI, no, never ever heard of them. I had no need to look and find out what they were. But Malcolm started explaining to me that there was loads of sightings and he'd been involved for a number of years. I said, well, that's great. I said, you can help me out here. Because I'm only a wee councillor for a place called Bonnybridge in Falkirk district in central Scotland. I just couldn't cope with what was happening with all these phone calls and so forth and letters. So I'll always, as long as I live, remember Malcolm Robinson for the support that he gave me, but also the support, and more importantly, he gave the community. Now, I'm going to be diversifying in this talk, and I'm going to go from one place to another. I'm going to go from Bonnybridge, I'm going to go to London, I'm going to Roswell, I'm going to all these places, because there's a certain amount of areas that I can't cover. So what I'll try and do is I'll try and cover the ones that I feel that's important and maybe of interest to you. What happened was, Malcolm came over, we had a meeting, and what we decided to do was, we're going to have a public meeting, just to see the depth of the situation and the concern in the community. So there was a hotel in Bonnybridge at that time called the Norwood Hotel. So we organised a meeting. Malcolm, we get flyers done, we get posters, and obviously the papers by that time had come in. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever dealt with the media, and I'll tell you, they can be nasty. They can tell lies They can do everything that you can imagine, and sometimes they're so unhelpful because I'll give you a story that the Sun was the first newspaper that came into Bonnybridge, and you can imagine the tabloids, town in terror. Now, I'm coming out the cooperative and I seen this, the Sun, town in terror, and I'm walking up the road and I didn't see anybody in terror. But the fact is that what they done was, obviously, they blow it out of proportion. Now this was before we had even had the first meeting, that the Sun had come in and they had printed all this about this small town, Bonnybridge. It's UFOs, and they had aliens, and they made a right fool of it. So I realised there and then why, and still realise to this day, why people will not put their names to anything, because the fact is that that's what you get. So we had the meeting, and the first meeting in the Norwood Hotel, and you couldn't get in. There were people queued outside and couldn't get in. And that's when I realised that 1992 wasn't the first time that there had been sightings of UFOs in Bonnybridge. There was one lady there, and Malcolm tried to speak to everybody, but it was impossible. But there was one lady there that sticks in my mind, and she had come in with wee drawings she did at the school. She was in her 70s. And when she came in, she did drawings at the school when she was a wee girl, and it was about silver discs flying over Bonnybridge when she was a wee girl. So the fact of the matter is that we had loads and loads of people that were giving accounts to Malcolm, and when they point giving them to me, I mean, I'm not a professional in any manner. I couldn't give them an answer. I still can't give them an answer, and we'll go into that in a minute. So Malcolm then began to work very effectively in the community, and taking all the calls. He took the burden, the responsibility off of me. Now, I'm going to make a statement here now, and it's true. Over the course of the years since this phenomenon happened, I've probably spoke to the population in the Falkirk area is 156,606, and I think there's a woman going to have twins at 12 o'clock today, so, but the fact is, so you had all that huge population. So talking about the papers, the media came back in again, and we had the Glasgow Herald, who is a very credible newspaper, and they did one of these Maury polls. And the poll came out, it was astonishing, and it said that the people that they had spoken to, that they believed that 60% of the population in that area that they had covered had saw something that they couldn't say exactly what it was, and it was unconventional. So that leads me to the fact that when Malcolm was doing all this work behind the scenes, then Malcolm had given me advice. He says, you want to contact the Ministry of Defence down in London. He says, you want to contact, and you've probably heard of this chap, Nick Pope. Have you said it? Hands up here, everybody that's heard of Nick Pope. Perfect. Now, I'm diversifying again because I'm going down to London here again, and Nick Pope was given a talk. I happened to be doing it in London, and Nick Pope was given a talk on aliens and so forth. Now, every time I contacted the Ministry of Defence with any sightings, all it came back was a short letter from the MOD saying, there is nothing happening in the skies above Bonnybridge that is a threat to national security. Now that's stamped on my brain, because every time there was something significant came, Malcolm was taking it on, but to have a record, I sent it down to Nick Pope. Now Nick Pope, at that particular time, when you work with the government, he signed the Official Secrets Act. So Nick Pope was what I would classify as a debunker at that particular time. So Nick Pope sort of changed dramatically. Nick Pope is out there, he's on the TV. I think he's been on the TV more than Malcolm now. But Nick Pope is writing books, Nick Pope's doing this, Nick Pope's doing that, and Nick Pope is saying he believes that there is 6 different species of aliens that are on this planet with us. So think about that. He signed the Official Secrets Act, he's working as a debunker. I've got loads and loads of letters from Nick Pope saying, in the same terminology, there is nothing above the Bonnybridge that is a threat to national security. So you're looking at 2 ways. You're looking at 2 ways, and the 2 ways is this: it's all bunkum. It's nothing. They're not really seeing anything. It's gas. They come up with all these different sorts. But it's not a threat to national security. Or you take it the other way. They know what it is, and they know it's not a threat to national security. And that's my take on it. I had a friend, he had just come out of the army, he was a colonel, he started a company up, and this is where it gets really personal, because you've got to remember this: I'm a wee councillor, that's all I'm not important. I'm just there to help people get their windows sorted and their drains, see about potholes in the road. That's what my job was, to look after the community that I was representing. So what they done was they started targeting me, and you can imagine what it was. I was a nutter. I was the one that was doing this to try and bring tourism to Bonnybridge. I was doing this, I was getting paid by the TV companies, and I was doing this for that, and so forth. And then they started attacking me. At that particular time, I wasn't married. So, I had broad shoulders. And at the end of the day, I said, it doesn't really worry me. But the fact is, when you pick a paper up, and what you see is, you see yourself getting ridiculed, it's very difficult. Now, I think you've all heard of this chap I'm going to speak about, and his name's Dennis Canavan. Dennis Canavan was an MP, and then he became an MSP. And I'm very friendly with Dennis. Dennis is a gentleman. And I remember one time I had asked him, I says, look Dennis, can you ask a question in Westminster and try and get an answer to this situation? Can you put forward a question and ask for an investigation? I've got all these letters. And Dennis wrote back. And I happened to meet him one Saturday, just after that, and he says, look Billy, he says, for God's sake, he says, don't get involved in this. He says, you're a laughing stock, don't get involved in it. He says, and there's no way that I'm going to be bringing up a question in Westminster about getting an investigation into something in your community. I'm not doing it. Anyway, so I've been a councillor for 26 years, right? And never yet have I saw any information or any questions in Westminster or any questions in the Scottish Parliament about, although I've written to them all hundreds of times asking for an investigation into the phenomenon. Nobody will do it. So the brunt's been on me for all this period of time, and I'll tell you, it hasn't been easy. I remember I was getting married, and what happened was there were posters getting put up all over the place. They were in the council as well, and it had me with my wife, like caricatures, and we were flying away to Mars for our honeymoon and all this. Now, I can laugh at that, but the fact is that that's my family. So then I had a daughter, and then the fact is that the ridicule comes. Patrick Moore, we all know Patrick Moore. Patrick Moore used to have a page in the Sun, and I remember one time he had this big full page, because at that time there was a real wave of sightings in Bonnybridge again, because it comes periodically, but it's still happening. And I was saying to Malcolm this morning that I got a text 2 weeks ago from a chap that had multiple sightings, and he wants me to go to his house. I've not had the time yet to look at the footage. So it's ongoing. But here we had Patrick Moore, who's on the TV, astronomer, whatever you want to call him, and this is what he's saying. The people in Bonnybridge that are there only see UFOs after a Celtic Rangers game, and they're out getting pissed. So I'm quite I stand up for myself. So it was my intention to go down and speak to him face to face. But anyway, so I wrote a letter to the editor of The Sun and said it was disgraceful, and what I wanted to do was, I wanted Patrick Moore to come to Bonnybridge, meet Malcolm Robinson and the other people that was involved, talk to the people that was there, and then what we would do is, then he could take cognizance of what he'd heard, and if he wanted to put another page in the paper, that would be fine. But what happened was, what he did was he put a wee bit in his next column just to say that he hoped he hadn't offended anybody in Bonnybridge, and it was a sort of like a satirical piece in that. So that's some of the side on that situation. Now, Malcolm was working away. We started then getting TV documentary film crews in from all over the world. And we were talking earlier on about the Japanese that came. But the fact of the matter is that when these documentary films, or anybody comes for the media, they're not really interested in listening to anybody talking. What they want to do is, they want to have films, they want to bring people out. And I remember this particular Japanese crew that says, can you get some people to talk to us? Well, what you do is, people come in from Japan, you go and say to a few people, and people say, oh, I'm not going on the TV, I'm not doing this. No. But some people say, we were all gullible at that time. So would you like to speak to this Japanese film crew? They just want to talk about what happened to you. Fine. And I remember there was 3 ladies and their dog had this sighting. And I said, well look, this Japanese documentary film crew are coming, would you like to talk to them? We're not going to be on the telly, are we? I says, in Japan, so I says, nobody in Bonnybridge is going to see you. I says, but would you mind coming? So anyway, they came. Now what they wanted to do was, it was absolutely shocking, and we sort of had a fall out about it. And what happened was, they wanted this woman to jump there, this dike in this open field, and they were to cower down and they were to scream and all that sort of thing. But that was the sort of some of the nonsense that these film crews were coming for. Now, one of the issues is that Scotland is a wonderful place for tourism. It's wonderful. In my area, you've got Stirling Castle, you've got the Kelpies, we've all been to the Kelpies, you've got the Falkirk Field, you've got all these wonderful tourism areas. And the fact of the matter is that there's so many people come from all over the world to Bonnybridge to see if they can get some sort of sighting. Just about 3 months ago, I'm very fortunate because my in-laws own a lot of the farmers and they've got a lot of ground, and when they come they'll say, well look, you can go into that field and you can put your tents up or whatever. And Malcolm and a lot of the groups, we've had sky watches there now and again. And I think it was about 3 weeks ago, we had 14 people from South Africa, and they were in wee tents, and they were there all weekend just trying. So there's an interest there. But one thing is, and I keep telling people, is that over the period of time that the Bonnybridge phenomena has been ongoing, and people say at its height, but there's nothing changed. Now, if you don't know Bonnybridge is sort of equidistant between Glasgow and Edinburgh airports. There's also a small airport at Cumbernauld, and I'm going to tell you a fascinating story about Cumbernauld Airport. Now, if any of you is recording any of this, it doesn't worry me, because the fact is that what I'm saying is the truth, and if they come away and take me the night, then that's just too bad. But the fact is, I'm just going to tell you how it is. So, Cumbernauld Airport is only 2 miles from the centre of Bonnybridge. It's only about less than half a mile where I live. So I was doing it in London. I was doing it in London and I met Malcolm. And ever since this started, I've been down to 10 Downing Street in the Ministry of Defence. I've met Malcolm there and some of his colleagues, and what I've presented at Downing Street and the Ministry of Defence is a question and asking if they would come in or set up an investigation into the Bonnybridge phenomenon. Now, what happened was, I went doing this time, I don't know if Malcolm was there, and the TV company found out about it and says, right, what we're going to do is we're going to get you a paper. You'll see it on YouTube, this one. We're going to get you a paper, and what we want to do is, we want you to march behind the paper, and we're going to march right across Westminster, and we'll take some footage of you there. So anyway, what happens is, I had the kilt and all that on, and I'm marching down beside the paper, and I had a big sign, Bonnybridge demands an answer into the UFO phenomenon. Simple. So I'm marching behind the paper, and the paper's up and down, and you've got all the Japanese and all that coming in, you know, all the tourists taking photos of you and stoking you. What's this about? I'm demanding an answer, I'm demanding an answer. Well, the next thing is, and if there's any of them in the room, you know my address, you know my phone number, you know where I live, and if you're not happy what I've got to say, well, that's too bad. But what happened was, I could spot them as I was walking by, because I walked down so far and then walked back up with this paper. And I'm looking across the other side, just at Westminster, where you go in. And I seen this wee sort of group gathering and pointing. And I'm saying to myself, see that person to be pointing at me. So what happens is, we've done that for maybe about 20 minutes, walking up and down, and the TV crew was out taking photos. So the next thing is, you'll know that the area I'm on, it's quite busy there. And you'll usually find that you get hundreds, if not thousands, of people protesting there about something. So I'm doing a wee bit on the pavement. The next thing is, that I think there were 4, but there might have been 5 of them came across the road. Now, I can hold my hand up and see this in public. They didn't strike me. But what they done was, they came up, and as I was walking up here, there was a sort of, like a cloister there, with a wall. The TV company, 2 of them got a hold of the TV company, and got them round and shut their cameras off. And what they done was, they bundled me against the wall with the shoulders. And I'm protesting. I says, what's this? What's this? You're causing a breach of the peace. I says, I'm causing a breach of the peace? I said, I'm protesting. There are people up on the roof protesting. I says, I'm doing a peaceful protest here. So they manhandled me. They hit me against the wall, and at the end of the day, I never seen the film crew again, but it was on, you'll see it on YouTube, about me marching up and down with the paper. So anyway, they were sort of round me for about maybe 2 or 3 minutes and says, look, you're making a fool of yourself, you get back to where you come from, if you continue doing this, then we'll take you away and we'll lock you up. So, at the end of it, what can you do? I see them running about you, what can you do? So eventually, by the way, they had all nice suits on. I think they'd been to Slater's. You know, so it wasn't like, so definitely who they were, MI6 or whoever it was, this is what they were trying to do, they were trying to intimidate me. So anyway, I came back out again, and the piper, he got a bit of fright. It was only a young fella, and he was standing up there. And I came back out and I said, right, fair enough. The TV crew was away, don't know where they went to. And anyway, I came back. But on other occasions, what's happened is Malcolm, myself, and other people we went to 10 Downing Street, and I'll give you, sometimes you've got to laugh at it because she didn't laugh. It's such a serious issue for me, because the fact is that I still had all these people coming to me and asking, what is this? Is this military? Are they coming out of the fourth or whatever? And at the end of the day, you've got to remember is that unlike Malcolm and some of his colleagues, there are people out there that are putting out misinformation. That's a government thing. They've done that since day one. There's misinformation going out, and at the end of the day, they come up with a load of nonsense, and that's to ensure that people like Malcolm and other genuine people, then at the end of the day, they're never taken serious. So Malcolm, myself, and a few, on a number of occasions, I went to every single Prime Minister since 1992 and done the same thing. Went up to the gates at 10 Downing Street, and you know the wee boats there, and the police is there. They didn't need it initially, but they're standing there with the guns. And I don't swear, by the way, I'm a good Christian, but I'm going to swear. Is that okay? Are you sure? It's a Saturday morning, it's not a Sunday, right? So what happens is, this TV company says, right, what we're going to do is, we're going to take you onto the bridge. You know the bridge where there have been a lot of the atrocities and that, going across Westminster Bridge. He says, well, what we're going to do is, we're going to put you in a black cab. It'll look good if you come out in a black taxi. And then what you want to do, and I had this big, always carry this banner with me, Bonnybridge demands an answer into the UFO phenomenon. So put that, and what you get out is, you get out the black cab, and then you start walking down to Westminster, and we'll take this film of you. I said, well, that's fine. So I get out the black cab, the TV crews are all set up, and I'm walking. Well, Westminster Bridge is one of the biggest tourist attractions the Westminster is, and there were thousands of folk. So I couldn't get through, and they said, oh, you'll need to wait until we get a passage through. So I'm standing like this, and everybody's getting by, and the folk selling this and selling that. As soon as we see an opening, then what happens is, you walk down and we'll follow you down to Westminster. And I've got this, so anyway, what happens is, Bonnybridge demands an answer into UFO phenomenon. It's on the two sides of this placard thing that I was holding up. So it must take about 25 minutes before an opening appeared. Right, go for it. So I'm walking down. The next thing is, I felt a tap on my shoulder, and the guy comes round in front of me and says, do you come from Bonnybridge? I used to work in Smith and Wellsuits there. And these boys in the TV crew were going, oh no. Anyway, so we gets down to 10 Downing Street. Malcolm and we're standing there, and I've got this. So I goes up to the chap at the gate with this time it's with a gun. And he comes there to the front, and I says, he says, can I help you? No, in that accent, it was an English accent right enough, but can I help you? I says, yep. I says, we're here to speak to the Prime Minister. We want to lodge this petition in. And I had this big petition all done. And then we were going to cross the road to the Minister of Defence. Do they know you're coming? Do they know you? Have you got an appointment? Because you can get an appointment to go and hand things in to Downing Street. I says, no. Hold on a minute, what's your name? I said, I'm Councillor Billy Buchanan. As though he's going to know who I am. So I seen him get into the box right enough. He goes into the box and he picks the phone up and he's talking to somebody for 2 or 3 minutes. Back out with the gun. They've never heard of you, so fuck off. Excuse the language, by the way. Apologies. But, no. Just throw your checkbooks. What was I going to say? But the thing is, I'm just looking at the time, how the way? Oh no, fine. Anyway, because you know this, you've got to remember, 1992, somebody quit many years ago, is that? Right. You can imagine what's happened since then. So anyway, we goes across to the Ministry of Defence and we put that in. And we submitted the petition, but at the end of the day, we get the usual back. There's nothing happening in the skies above Bonnybridge as a threat to national security. So, the fact is that I write to everybody, by the way. I write to all the presidents and the prime ministers and all that. And over the course of time, we've had people coming and writing back and saying, well, look, we've got a phenomenon as well. One of the problems for ufologists, and one of the problems to try and get to the truth, and I spoke earlier about the misinformation. Now, I'm going to give you a typical example. Just a few years ago, there was all this wonderful footage about all this big phenomenon, this big wave of footage that came from Mexico. Did you see it? And all these sightings and thousands of people had seen it. But it was all fake, because what you've got to remember is that, see the technology that we've got now. And what they've done was they dissected this footage and they found that the UFOs were actually flying through the buildings. And at the end of the day, what did you call the chap? Mind for Happy Days, was it Henry Winkler? Mind of him? Henry Winkler was a tremendous ufologist. I didn't know if you knew that. And Henry Winkler went across to Mexico and he paid hundreds of thousands of pounds for that footage. And it was a complete waste of money. But here's a quick one for you. We've got a hospice in Denny called Strathcarron Hospice, right? Now, the patron of Strathcarron Hospice, I'm trying to get as much in as possible. I've not even been to Roswell yet, but the patron of Strathcarron Hospice is Princess Anne. Now, Princess Anne was up on a visit, and I was to go there, and my daughter was going there as well to present her with flowers. So I had brought a wee book called My Pal Sal. You'll know that one, Malcolm? It's a wee book, and it was just a wee children's book that I made for the hospice. And it was to do with an alien that landed in Bonnybridge, and he met me, and we had great adventures and all that. But it was, what it done was it profiled the phenomenon, but also raised money for the hospice. So we're invited up now. Princess Anne comes out. Now, I don't know if you knew this, but one of the biggest ufologists in the whole of the United Kingdom is who? Prince Philip. Did you know that? Prince Philip, Malcolm, I don't know, because obviously you maybe no tell us, but Prince Philip has had every single well-known ufologist into Buckingham Palace because he's obsessed. So what I done was I knew about this because I'd get work for somebody in the palace. So I had this book, and Princess Anne comes up, and my daughter goes there and she says, she had the flowers. She says, that's the flowers. And took the flowers and says, and that's a book for your dad. And she says, so I'm standing beside her because she was the one that was presenting it. I says, yeah. She says, what's the book? She says, it's from my dad. And she looked at me and she says, what's this about? I says, well, I know that your father, Prince Philip, is really obsessed with ufology. I says, and he has all these people coming to see him. I says, that's just a wee book for him. So that's something that maybe you didn't know. So we're continuing on with the story about Bonnybridge. Over the course, I would say that the first maybe 5 or 6 years, I never counted every single person that ever came to see me. But I'm going to say this here and now. There is not one person that ever came to see me or spoke to me that I did not believe that they believed. There's not one person. I believe the sincerity of these people. Now, the fact is that it could very well be that over the course of time, because, and I spoke to you already, and the reason I told you about being equidistant with the 2 airports, the Bonnybridge area is a holding area, and the Falkirk area for any aircraft going into Edinburgh, Glasgow and Newcastle. We've got the small airport up at Cumbernauld, so people in our area are used to seeing a conventional aircraft flying day and night. So let's no mistake about that. Right, here's another one that just came right in. See, there's somebody up there telling me what to tell you. Anyway, what happened was, I'm back down to London because I used to be down to London a lot to try and, it wasn't create problems, but it was to try and get, all we want and all we still want is an answer. That's all we're looking for. We want an answer to what's been happening in that area, what the sightings are. We've had video footage, Malcolm's got it. In fact, we had Malcolm, I think we had the first crop circles there a few years ago, and by the way, it was in the paper that it was me that done it. Now, I couldn't draw a straight line, never mind one of these oblong circles. But I got the blue, it was in the paper. Billy's been out in the fields at night, Billy's been out, and the Waynes were singing it. But the fact is, and I'm looking at band members down there that know all about music, but the fact of the matter is, so, what happens was we had the crop circles, we had all these people were coming, some back down at London, and I was there, friends of mine, I'm no political, but we were at this event, and they were in at number 10, but I wasn't invited. So I met them at night for a meal, we were having a meal, and we were talking away about the situation. Now, the place we were in was near Westminster, right? Now, this is all, every single thing I'm telling you now is factual. And at the end of the day, if you doubt it, that's just hard lines. But what happened was, we were in this bar and you had all these members of Parliament there, MPs. We've all got different words for them. Anyway, all political persuasions. And I'm in there and I'm just sitting having fish and chips, it was. Malcolm, it was that one we were in on the community down the street that day, remember? So I'm in. So I went into the toilet and I could sense the presence of somebody coming behind me. Now, at the end of the day, you get concerned about that. So when I went in, especially in Westminster, so what happens is, I'm going in, and I could feel the presence behind me. And this chap came up and says, "Take this." And I'm going, "Take this." Now, if somebody says that to you in the toilet, you know, so, but I'll tell you, I took it. What it was a cassette. And he says, "You don't say where you got this from." I said, "Didn't you bloody wonder?" Now, what this cassette was, this is what it was, and this is how it was so important. This cassette was footage, verbal, of pilots flying above Bonnybridge with different airlines, and they were in contact with the controller. So I had a few friends in that night and said, "Let's listen to this," so we're listening to it. Now, it was actually mind-blowing. It was telling you about these pilots flying about and saying, "What's that? Hey, oh, and you know that pilots are supposed to, they can report it, but it doesn't go anywhere. So what happened was, I contacted Sky, I think it was Sky TV, and I says, "Look," I says, "I've got this. This could prove once and for all, because that's all I'm looking for. This could prove once and for all that the people in the Bonnybridge and Falkirk Triangle are seeing something that is not conventional, and what it is, and we want an answer." That's what they said. So what they said was, right, what we're going to do is, we're going to contact Cumbernauld Airport. He says, "And we're going to take you up to the control tower, and there's a chap that owns Cumbernauld Airport. He lives in an island and he flies in every morning. What a way you go your work, eh?" So I went up there with this TV company, with this tape, apparently it was Sky. And what they did is, because they've got different type of jargon that they speak, you know, when you're in, you know, that we wouldn't really understand. So what happens is, they put the tape on, and they had a traffic controller sitting there, and they had the man that owned, and you can contact him, the man that owned Cumbernauld Airport, and you listen to it, and he says, the chap that was sort of doing it all said, all we want you to do is authenticate that what the pilots are saying and what the terminology is correct. So they were talking about, they were going to fly near the top of Bonnybridge, and they seen white lights coming up and across them and all that sort of thing. I mean, it was mind-blowing. So the outcome of that is that the chap at Cumbernauld Airport, the controller, and the chap says, what they're saying, and what we're hearing, it says, is genuine and authentic. So, see when you get things like that, it gives you a wee boost. It gives you a wee boost. But one of the problems was that I never seen the tape again, and the film company that came in, and I was saying to Malcolm, because Malcolm and the boys with the band down there, we had a big thing in Falkirk Town Hall. I was to try and get information, and we had speakers, and the boys were playing the band. But before it started, I got a phone call at the office, and it says, this is, they say Glasgow University, we would like to come tonight and film your event. And I said, that'd be fine. So they turned up. Now, there was about 7 of them. We were busy all day doing other things, but they put a camera here, and they had a camera there, they had a camera there, and they had one facing the door as soon as they come in. Now, they were there, and when we'd finished that event, we were all having a blether and all that. Never ever seen them again or heard from them again. And they had given me a phone number, and when I phoned up this phone number on numerous occasions to find out if we could have a look at the footage, it just cut off. Now the thing is, at the end of it, what was that? I'll tell you what it was. Everybody that was interested, like yous are all here the day or this morning, they were wanting to take a photograph of everybody. They wanted to listen to what people were saying. This is what it is. This was Big Brother. Now, I'm not talking rubbish here. I'm just telling you how it is. After about 3 years, there was a chap that I got really friendly with. He came out the army, and he opened up a computer. I'm just going to finish my God Almighty. So what happens is, I had this chap. He was a colonel. I'm sure he was a colonel. And when he came out, plenty of money in that, he opened up a computer factory in Cumbernauld. And I met him and got very friendly with him. So what happened? I was beginning to feel that when I was picking the phone up, and then one day I picked the phone up, and I heard somebody at the back of the phone, like, talking. So, him being an expert, I got him in, and what he done was he found in, and they found that my phone had been tapped. Now, who wants to tap my phone? But the fact is that that's the paranoia for MI6 or MI5, and if any is here, I apologise for that, but the fact is you were tapping my phone, you shouldn't have been doing it. And I haven't even gone on to Roswell, there's hundreds of things to tell you, but obviously it's years, but I'm getting wound up. But I'm just going to finish off with saying this, that as long as I live, I'm going to continue to try and get an answer to the phenomenon. The governments of the world will never ever tell you the truth, they'll never tell you the facts, and at the end of the day, what they'll try and do is, if you're in the spotlight of anything, they'll try and discredit you, as they've tried to do to me over the years. But the fact is that I'm descended from William Wallace, and the fact of the matter is that I will not be put down. Bonnybridge, Scotland, the UK, the whole of the world demands an answer, and it's time that we got to the truth. And enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you very much. Thank you.